second period was telling me these questions were easier than the first set we did, which is somehow how it happened. So that's actually another thing I want to talk about with the regions. Just if you get to question 1 and you're like, what the heck is this? Why is it so hard? Why don't I know this? Keep going. There'll be more. There's 85 questions. It's not like the quiz we just took where there's only 8 questions and each one is worth 12 points. Each question is basically worth 1 point. So if you get even a handful of them, you're like, what the heck is this? It's not a big deal because there will be 80 more questions for you to answer that probably you'll know the answers to. So that's also a really good thing to keep in mind when you're taking these tests. If a couple of them are hard, especially at the beginning, don't panic because there'll be more that you know the answers to, I promise. So don't just get in there and shut down because the first couple of questions are hard. All right, so going through these, starting with question 17, the answer is 2. 18, 4. 19, 2. Is everybody checking their work? 19 is 2. 20 is 4. 21 is 3. 22, 4. 23, 3. 24, 2. 25, 2. 26, 2. 27, 1. 28, 1. 29, 2. 30, 3. So right off the bat, I know I want to talk about, I think it's either 29 or 30. I want to first talk about 29. Because this is not something I spent very much time on. We did this, I basically just mentioned it. Because what this is we have a mountain, or in this case, it's a volcano, but we have a mountain-shaped object. And they want to know what the stream drainage pattern will likely be on this volcano. So really what it's saying is, okay, dudes, if it rains here, how is the water going to run down this mountain?
It's going to follow like them indents.
It's going to follow like them indents. So it's going to kind of go just down the hill. This picture here is saying if it's raining here, the water will just flow down the hill. This one is showing that it's going to go in like a parallel pattern. That's not how it's going to flow off a mountain. It's just going to go down that mountain. This would be if this mountain had a hole in the middle of it. And for this one, it did not. So again, it just rains at the top and flows down all the sides. The other one I wanted to talk about for sure was question 30. Okay, who got 30 wrong, just to kind of get a sense of it? Okay. So there's a couple ways to get this one right. One thing you could have done, if you remember when I made you draw these, you had to put your scrap paper on the edge of the paper. You had to mark their numbers. And you could have gone about it like that. Oops, I actually did it wrong. So we got 80. Nope. Okay, so that's sorry. So you could have just marked, I went one too far over, 120, 100, 80, 60, 60, 80, 100. You could have done that and you could have figured out how it would have looked. But for process of elimination, there's probably an easier way. The first thing would have been to just kind of match up X. Let's start with X. Everybody turn to page 9, question 30 if you're not there. What is the value for X? It's not 0.
Oh,
so
X on like this?
Yes, I'm sorry, X up on the map, right there.
Oh.
Yep, 120. So to figure that out, by the way, you could have said, okay, there's 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. I probably actually would have started with tens and saw that that was too small and then gone to 20s. So knowing that X is 120, can I get rid of any answers? I can get rid of 1, not 4, but just 1. I can get rid of 1 because it has X at 80. Now let's just look at Y and try to do the same thing with Y. First of all, Y is not on an exact line, but it's really close to. So if here's 100, this line is the 120 line, the 120, and then 140 is the line. So Y is between 120 and 140. Is there any I can absolutely get rid of because of that? Let's see. Here's Y, here's 120, there's 140. Okay, 3 is still fair game. 4 is not because it's got it higher than 140. So it's not that. And again, that one is not at the 120, it's at 180. So right away, the only one it could possibly be is answer 3, just by looking at X and Y. But then just double check. When I go from X, it goes downhill to Y, then downhill, and then it starts going back uphill. So it did match up with that. Are there any that you guys want me to go over besides 29 and 30 then? What other ones did you get wrong? None, you got 100 on the rest. I find that hard to believe. Not that you all aren't just amazing, but I bet there was some that you got wrong.
26.
26. 26. As the distance from the mid-Atlantic ridge increases, the age of the ocean's bedrock will. I think Destiny was my example for this one, weren't you? When we talked about you and your siblings. Okay. Guys, remember what happens at a mid-ocean ridge. And if you don't remember what happens at a mid-ocean ridge, go to the map in your reference table that has mid-ocean ridges. And that's actually another trick when you're doing these test questions. If you don't have a clue, was that kind of where you were on this one? You're like, I have no idea.
No, I was looking at it and then well, yeah, kind of.
Okay, so when you have no idea, at least look through the question. And it says mid-Atlantic ridge. Flip through your reference table until you find, like, look through, pretend you're Google. Is there anything about mid-ocean ridges on page 1? No. Kind of look through. No. You would have hopefully gotten to page 5 and saw that there were ridges. So then you got to kind of walk through in your head. What did we see? Ridges. They've got arrows pulling apart. Think to yourself, when the plates pull apart, what's left underneath them? Guys, so that was actually a thing. When plates pull apart, what's underneath those plates? Lava, right? Lava is going to come up and brand new baby rocks are going to be born. This is what I talked about Destiny. So you're old, Caitlin's the oldest. Caitlin was the oldest. Remember, she was born at the mid-ocean ridge. But what happened to Caitlin when Destiny came along? She got kicked out and pushed away. Pushed away. So as the distance from the mid-ocean ridge, so here's the mid-ocean ridge, as you get farther in either direction, what's going to happen to the age of those bedrocks? If the babies are born here, they get older as you go out. So that's why it was 26 was 2. So it started with me looking through the reference table to see what a mid-ocean ridge was, if I didn't know that off. Good. Carter, give me one that you got wrong. 19. One characteristic of a good index fossil is that these that produce the, oh my goodness, one characteristic about a good index fossil is that the organism that produce these fossils select remains that can be found in igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Ooh, this is perfect review. No, why is that wrong?
Because sediments aren't in.
No, fossils aren't in.
Oh,
Yeah, the fossils can't be found in igneous or metamorphic rocks. Because remember, if you had a dead animal and it fell in a pile of lava, the fossil's gone. If you have a dead animal and it gets extreme heat and pressure, the fossil's gone. So it's not answer 1. Lived over a wide geographic area. By the way, that's the answer. But existed on Earth for a long period of time. Would it be helpful if I remember how I talked about index fossils? I had those party hats and the Valentine's Day gifts. If they were found, if you could find a Valentine's Day bear, would it be all year long? Would it be helpful for identifying it? No, you need to know that just that short period of time. And lived on both land and water for part of their lives, that wouldn't help. So it is when they're lived over a wide geographic area. Thanks, Jeff. You need these because I don't think you were here for either one of these days, were you? Did you get the test?
No.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then that's what we're working on now. We're on page 6 right now of that. Okay, so that was Destiny. Do you want to go over any of them? Twenty? 20, during which, this was a good one. Last class wanted to go over it too. During which geological epoch were nearly all of the Earth's land masses to have been inferred to be located in the southern hemisphere? Guys, does that sound like a fact that you should just know off the top of your head?
No, you guys learned that one.
No, Carter, barely anything in this class is off the top of your head. So again, if you get to a question, you're like, what the heck? Why would I need to know this? Grab your reference table and look at what we've got going on. We're talking about geologic epochs. The answers are talking about early Cretaceous, Mississippian, Triassic, Ordovician. That should at least be ringing some bells in your head that you need to go to this page. And then I started looking, I'm like, I still don't have an idea. So I looked at the answers. The answers were early Cretaceous, so I put a little mark there. Middle Triassic, early Mississippian, middle Ordovician. Now take a look. Here's where the land masses are. So out of those 4 answers, early Cretaceous, go over. Are they all in the southern hemisphere? No, they're everywhere. Middle Triassic, are they all in the southern hemisphere? Nope, they're everywhere. Early Mississippian, we're getting closer to them all being in the southern hemisphere. When you get down here to the middle Ordovician, take a look at all those continents. They're all pretty much squished in the southern hemisphere. So again, that started with me not having an idea off the top of my head, found it in the reference table, and just also did process of elimination to find which one, answer 4, would have been the answer. I did process of elimination with that one.
That's all right.
I do, yeah. Anybody else have any more that they just desperately want to go over? Okay, no homework tonight. We're going to come back to this next week. So put it somewhere where you're not going to lose it, because I want you to have the answer sheet and the booklet again for the rest of them next week. Yesterday, we started talking about moon phases, and I know I kind of left off a little early with Mr. Miyagi, and I want to make sure you guys understand the point I was trying to make when I showed the Mr. Miyagi video. So I'm going to actually, yeah, Karate Kid. So I'm going to start. Well, he's not in Cobra Kai. He's
yeah, but guess what?
What?
They show flashbacks.
They do show flashbacks. So I'm going to start here just so we can start making that same connection I made yesterday. We'll make it again.
Introducing Astapro Allergy. Astapro is steroid-free, unlike Flonase.
Well,
Astapro and go. Introducing Astapro Allergy. Astapro is steroid-free, unlike Flonase. Astapro and go.
Good job, Peyton. Wow, again for you guys.
Visit your neighborhood Ashley store for unbelievable deals on furniture, decor, mattresses, and more. Plus, take advantage of expert advice and design tips from
There we go.
I remember how.
Oh, Mr. Miyagi, I forgot to give this back to you last night.
You keep.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Sir, ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
And your son must talk. Walk on the road. Walk right side, safe. Walk left side, safe. Walk middle, sooner or later, get the squish, just like grape. Here, karate, same thing. Either you karate do yes, or karate do no. You karate do guess so, just like grape. Understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Now ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes. Let's make sacred pact. I promise teach karate. That's my part. You promise learn. I say you do. No question. That's your part. Deal?
Steel?
Yes. First wash all the car, then wax. Wax.
Wait, why do I have to watch all the car?
Remember, deal. No question.
Yeah, but
Right. Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth. Wax on, wax off. Don't forget to breathe. Very important. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off.
Hey, where'd these cars come from?
Wax on. Detroit. Wax off. Wax on. Wax off. Da-da-da-da. Wax on. Right hand, make a circle. Wax off, left hand, circle. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in, breathe out. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. Wax on.
Okay. So like I talked about yesterday. Oh, I think that's gonna start playing some. Yep,
Wow, this is...
that's the next scene. Not doing the next scene. Sorry, guys. You can watch it at home. I think it's available on Netflix.
I watched it.
Okay, good.
I gotta watch it.
All right. So the reason I show that video is to talk about the waxing and waning parts of the moon. So first of all, and I know we talked about this yesterday, but I want to make sure everybody understood what I was trying to say. Why would somebody wax a car?
To
To
make
make
it shiny.
it shiny. So when the moon is waxing, it's doing the same thing. It's getting shiny. So for the waxing moons, what's happening is it's going from being
Dark,
dark
shining.
to shiny. So here's what's called the new moon, which is when there's no light. Actually, this one's starting to get light, but work with me here. If I showed you a new moon, it would be a blank piece of paper or a blank screen. So here's a new moon. It's all dark. And then Mr. Miyagi must be up there waxing the moon. And look, it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter until it's all the way light. So that's waxing. But Mr. Miyagi, in addition to just making the moon brighter, he says to wax on right hand. So which side of the car got shiny first? The right side. The same is true with the waxing moon. Because we're waxing on right hand, the right side is the one getting lit up first. So every moon that has the light on the right is a waxing moon. So this is an example of a waxing one. Now this again, I know it's kind of sneaking over to the left side, but if I had to say right or left for the light, where is more of the light on this one?
Right side.
Yeah, it's on the right side. So again, this is a waxing moon. This is called the waxing quarter, or it's also known as the first quarter. And we talked about why it's called a quarter and not a half moon, like you guys want to call it. Because again, when you're looking at a half and half moon, The other whole half of the moon is in the back and you can't see it. So when you're seeing this lit up portion, it's really only a quarter of the moon. So that's why they call it a quarter moon. We keep waxing this guy and it's gonna be almost all light. This is called a gibbous. This is one people forget about. So you do need to be able to tell me the name of all 8 phases of the moon if I show you a picture. For example, can you guys tell me, first of all, is this a crescent, quarter, or a gibbous? It's a quarter because it's half and half. And will this be a waxing quarter or a waning quarter?
Waxing,
Waxing, why?
because it's like going from the right to the left.
Right. Easier than that, Jeff? You're not wrong, but even easier, the light's on the right. That's it. Let's try another one. How about this guy? First of all,
Waning.
okay, so you want to start with it's waning. Why is it waning, Sarah? Because the light's on the left. And then you gotta figure out, is this a crescent, quarter, or a gibbous?
Crescent,
A crescent. I do have a helpful way to remember. You guys know the letter C for crescent?
croissant.
See it kind of looks like that? Okay, the letter C kind of looks just like a crescent.
It is.
It is, there you go. So that should be helpful to remember that a crescent is when it looks like a C almost. And then the other thing I remember, I think the next one might be, yep, this guy. Crescent, quarter, or gibbous.
Gibbous,
This is a gibbous. With the gibbous, you know the letter G?
yeah.
See how the letter G is almost a full circle? So almost a full moon.
Yeah,
Okay, so gibbous, the one that starts with a G, is the one that's almost a full moon. So that's 2 helpful things that might help you remember the difference, because people do mess up gibbous and crescent, because they're kind of opposite of each other. So one way to remember them is that the C one, the crescent, kind of looks like a C, and the gibbous, the letter G, is almost a full circle. So this is a gibbous. Is it waxing or waning though?
it's waxing.
Yeah, it's waxing because the light's on the right. I think I have one more. Oh, what's this one?
That's a full moon.
Full moon. Okay, wait, not Jeff, not Sarah, because I know you two know it. I know. Crescent, quarter, or gibbous. This is a gibbous. And it's waning. Why is it waning? Lights on the left. So guys, one thing you have to be able to do is if I show you a picture, you have to be able to name it. The other thing you have to do, and now we're gonna go to page 20 of your packet, by the way. So yesterday we took those moon pops and showed you how if you move the moon around your body, you can see it as those different phases. I did right. I do mean page 21. So grab page, do you have your packet?
Yeah,
No,
Page 20, it is page 21.
wow.
no.
So the next thing you're going to have to be able to do, right, 21 there?
22, 21.
Oh, I wonder if I messed up, if there's 20,
What?
and then 21, did I?
Looks like 20,
Oh, there's 2 page 21s. Let's go to this page 21.
okay.
All right, no problem there. Page 21 with the moons on it.
21.1.
You were both right. Nice job.
Wow.
Want to make sure everybody gets credit.
Good job, John.
So this is supposed to be representing something very similar to what we did. This is the Earth here in the center. In fact, if you want to label that with an E, go ahead. And what this is supposed to be representing is if you were hovering over the North Pole, kind of like I'm about to do to my model, and looking down at it like this. And you can see the moon going around in different positions. We got the Earth in the center. Why are there 8 moons? Okay, 8 different positions. FYI, guys, there's really only one moon, and it moves around the Earth, just to be clear. So the next thing you're going to have to be able to do is, if I say, hey guys, what moon is at position 6? You need to be able to tell me the name of that moon and draw it.
Fraction crescent.
Okay, it's not, but we're gonna talk about how you know.
Mhm.
Okay, so first things first. I wanna ask you, what do I have right in the back of my head right now?
Well, hair,
There.
How do you know? Just assuming?
we can see.
Nothing.
Because you wouldn't have a
We don't
bald
know.
side back your head. That'd be
I actually do
pretty
have a bald spot, it's right here, but that's besides the point.
We don't know.
weird.
I do, I'll show you later. I have a birthmark, I have a bald spot, not the point of the conversation though. My point is, if I'm looking straight at you, can you see the back of my head?
No.
No, why not? Yeah, the answer is no, everyone.
We can't.
Cause you can't, cause it's,
Usually, we're discussing, I guess.
okay, the point is when you're looking straight at me, you can't tell what's going on the back of me. You can only see the side that's facing you.
But you turned around before.
I didn't talk about before, I said right now. So same is true with the moon. When you're standing at the earth, looking at the moon, what side of the moon can we see? Whatever side's looking at it. If you wanna call it the front, let's call it the front. So you can only see the side of the moon that's facing us. You can't see the back. Here's where the Post-it note is coming in play. Guys, you've been in class with me for like 35 weeks. If you haven't come to the conclusion that I hate extra information, you should have by now. We're gonna use the Post-it note to cover up the parts of the moon we can't see. But one more thing, you guys know about perspective, right? Point of view.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to put yourself in a position to see the actual front of the moon. So what I mean is we're going to turn this paper. So moon number 1 is completely lined up with me. So see how I'm standing here and I'm looking at moon number 1 on the top of my paper. So turn it so moon number 1 is perfectly lined up with your body. If you're sitting at an angle, then line it up so it's still perfectly straight with you. So what I want to imagine is I'm going to be standing here on Earth looking at moon number 1. So let's go ahead and draw a human. Notice how I have their arms straight out. That's actually important.
Okay, I made the arm.
And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this Post-it note and we're going to use those straight arms. Notice how the arms run parallel to the ground where this person is standing. We're going to slide this moon back. Have fun tonight. Make good choices.
Got it. I Dr. D. Have fun, Cole. Thank you.
So again, sorry,
Where's my key?
back to this. We're going to take the Post-it note, cover up the person's head,
Oh,
and
good.
slowly keeping the paper perfectly straight the way it was, cover up the side of the moon that that person won't be able to see.
So it's a whole moon.
So we're covering up the back of the moon. And, oh, I guess I forgot to mention, hey guys, why is half the moon dark and half the moon light? It's not, the only half of the moon is lit up. So actually, let me go back to that. You guys keep your papers where they are. See how the sun's coming from the right on my paper now? See how all the right sides of the moon are lit up? That's because that's the only side the sun is hitting. Okay, so now going back, covering up the back half of the moon, number 1. It turns out I covered up the whole lit up portion. So if I was this person standing on the earth looking at the moon, what's up there? Nothing, it's all dark. So when we're doing this, I want you guys to ask yourself, is the moon all light, full moon, all dark, new moon, mostly dark, that's a crescent, half and half, that's a quarter, or mostly light, which is a gibbous? So asking yourself, mostly light, mostly dark, half and half, what do we got going on here? What moon do they see? They see all dark, which is a new moon. So what I want to do right near moon number 1 is label it as a new moon. Again, it's a new moon because the lit up side, we can't see the lit up side. We only get to see the dark side.
It doesn't exist.
What?
You just pretend it doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. It does exist. It's just what we call a new moon.
Oh,
So we're going to do this for all 8 phases of the moon. So to do moon number 2, because it's kind of on a weird spot on the paper, I still want you to turn your paper so moon number 2 is completely lined up with your body. Notice how my paper's crooked almost. Do the same thing. We're going to draw that person. And we want to cover up what that person, I know this guy turned out to be a little shorter than the last one. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take that Post-it, cover up the half of the moon they can't see. So it's the back, but notice because my paper's crooked, it's not perfectly lined up with the light and the dark. So this person looks up into the sky. Remember the questions I want you to ask? Is it all light, all dark, mostly light, or half and half? Is this half and half? Yeah, if it's half,
That's not.
if that's half and half, I don't want to share pizza with you. Because somebody's getting way more than the other person. Oh, okay, let's do peanut butter pie. Okay, whatever, you know what I mean. Yes, something you like, I don't want to share with you, because if you like it, you're gonna take that bigger piece then, I bet. So, this is not half and half, this is mostly dark, I'd say.
This looks like a gibbet.
No, which
What?
moon, crescent, quarter, or gibbous, is mostly dark with just a little bit of light?
Crescent.
That's a crescent, right? And then before we say, okay, we got it, we have to decide, is this a waxing or a waning crescent? So you whip out your hands, shape them like L's. Which side is the light on? Is it on the right or the left?
It's on the right.
No, we're looking at the light.
Right.
It's on the right.
Waxing.
Waxing. Mr. Miyagi says light on the right. Actually, Mr. Miyagi says wax on right hand, but.
Is it the waxing one?
So again, we're looking at the lit up side. So what do we gotta do for moon number 3 to figure it out? What's the first step to figuring out moon number 3? Oh, first, before we draw a human, we have to turn our paper so moon number 3 is perfectly right. So that, I was going to tell you that you really don't have to draw
You
the
don't
human.
have to, you just like have to put the sticky note where the.
The key is to make sure that your sticky note is
It's on
really
that
just
line.
covering up, yeah, it's gotta cover up the back half.
Put it on the line. Just have it.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you put it right on the line, yeah, Jeff's got it. So, again, ask yourselves the questions I've been asking. Is it all light? No. Is it all dark? Is it mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? This time it's half and half. Huh?
Half and half.
Half and half. And what kind of moon is half and half? Crescent, quarter, or gibbet?
Quarter.
Quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Because a quarter, and here's where you can actually see, again, why we call it a quarter. Because we're only getting a quarter of the moon. So it's a quarter moon, and is it waxing or
Waxing.
waning? Waxing, because the light's on the right.
Oh.
Let's do moon number 4. What do we gotta do? First step. Gotta turn your paper so that moon number 4 is lined up with your body. Cover up the back half of the moon and ask yourself those same questions. All light, all dark,
Oh, I know.
mostly light, mostly dark,
Mostly light.
or half and half. And I
Gibbet.
agree. This one's mostly light. What kind of moon is
Gibbet.
mostly
Gibbet.
light? That's a gibbet.
Gibbet.
And is this guy a waxing or a waning gibbet?
Waxing.
This is waxing.
Doesn't start waning yet.
Nope, we're still getting brighter. What do we do to figure out moon number 5?
New moon.
Wait,
Full
what do
moon,
we
I mean.
do first?
Do the light. We're sticky note.
No, before we move our sticky note,
Face the paper towards you.
face the paper. The reason we're doing this is because when you get to moon 6, 7, and 8, because they're upside down, your left and your right are gonna be backwards unless you turn it to look like this.
This one, you.
In this case, you still gotta cover up the back half. All light, all dark, half and half.
Waxing or waning.
Okay, it's all light,
Full.
so it's a full moon. And that's not waxing or waning. Moon number 6. Put moon number 6 on the top. Cover up the back half. Ask yourself those same questions, mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half. For moon number 6,
Mostly light,
mostly light, light on the right or the left?
the left though.
The left, so what kind?
Waning,
Waning. And waning, what kind is mostly light? Gibbous,
That's
that's the
gibbous.
one that begins with a G. Again, if you can just remember that a G is almost a full circle, you'll remember this is a gibbous. Almost done, moon number 7 on the top. Your paper's completely upside down. Cover up the back half, mostly dark, mostly light, half and half.
Half and half.
Half, quarter,
Waning.
waning quarter. You could also call it a third quarter. If you already knew that, you could stick with that, but otherwise go with waning. Last one for today, turn moon number 8 on the top. Cover up the back half. Ask yourselves the same question, mostly light, mostly dark, half and half.
Waning.
Mostly dark, which is a crescent, and the light's on the left, so yep. A waning crescent. We will continue with this on Monday. Because I'm amazing and I made it go by fast.